And staying on sort of innovative ways for the problem to be solved, Casper, going back to the chemistry of all of this, is there a kind of big leap forward waiting to happen? Is there the equivalent of fusion versus fission happening in batteries that's going to kind of change the game entirely? And who's doing it and how long is it going to take?
Yeah, so unfortunately there is nothing around the corner that's going to fundamentally change the cost or, let's say, the performance of batteries in the immediate term. So when we talk about batteries being used in passenger EVs in particular, first things first is that the qualification cycle to get into those battery packs is very, very lengthy. So if it's a new technology, we're looking at, pretty much a multi-year process for those cells to be qualified and then be designed into a pack. So, you can't just replace one cell with another in a pack. You need to design the pack around the cell. So you're looking at many years before that can be deployed. So one of the technologies that people are looking at, other than sort of the current lithium ion that I outlined at the start of the panel, would be sodium ion, which moves away from the use of things like lithium and cobalt and nickel. But that's still in the R&D phase, and there's likely to be some time lapse between that actually being widely used commercially. And then as a superseding technology, which should see kind of a significant step up in energy density terms, which is important in terms of range, and perhaps even charging speed is one of the fundamental things that people are worried about. If you can charge in 3 minutes, the same as filling up your car with petrol or diesel, then lots of those range anxiety concerns go away. And, as I say, a longer range as well. Would be something called solid state. Solid state batteries actually use very similar minerals to the ones we use today, or at least the kind of market leaders in terms of developing them are using cathode containing nickel, cobalt, manganese. And then the big change is the anode. At the moment, the plan would be to use lithium metal, and that would replace something like natural or synthetic graphite. So there's a number of different companies developing that all over the world. There's many, I guess, the kind of household name that people perhaps are aware of is a company called QuantumScape. But there's many companies developing that, and that's actually still something which has a long R&D road to go down before it's to be deployed, or in our opinion anyway, to like widespread use in like commercially in EVs in particular, where cost is a very important metric. So we're looking at that being used sort of later in the decade towards the 2030s. So yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing around the corner that's going to fundamentally change these supply chains, partly because of the long qualification requirements. If you think about recalls in the auto industry and the cost associated with those, particularly with something like a battery pack, which is, if you think the cathode makes up 50% of the cost of the cell, and the pack about 40% of the cost of the vehicle, so it would be a very costly recall. So there's lots of trepidation in deploying untested technologies.
Okay, but nonetheless. To become world leaders in battery technology and all of the underlying engineering and chemistry. Are we getting people excited?
Yes, but I think we've started that discussion. And like everything, these discussions are still very much scattered. Some of our engineering schools have set up EV cells. We've been in discussions with them to incentivize doing a little bit of R&D on that. They've been discussing topics. So I can't say confidently that we've done a lot, but I can definitely say confidently that we have certainly started these discussions. And for one, many of our leading technology universities have indeed set up EV cells, which is a very big thing. It's already a very big thing. We've got courses, there are dedicated courses on electric vehicles. I can't comment too much on the course material, but there are chunks on technology. Have we moved that from the classroom to the lab, which is perhaps what we need more of? I'm confident that we will get there, because that need is arising. The second level of need, if there ever were to be levels of need, is like we were saying, the supply issue and security of supply, battery technology, and to what extent can we indigenize that fuel? And there's a lot of incentive also at the central level or the federal level that is giving the right market signal. So I'm confident that we will get there. We've had a history of deep technology, a history of deep science. So I'm fairly confident we'll get there.
Well, that's great. And we applaud all of your optimism. And Casper, feel free at any time to come out to see us in India to exchange knowledge around chemistry with all our young engineers and chemists. A huge thank you to all of our panelists, to Sven from Norway, Casper from London, and the wonderful Mahua from New Delhi. Thank you much. Thank you very much, everybody. And thank you to our audience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for another engaging and very detailed discussion.